breaking barriers across the nation and here at home.
We're celebrating the contributions of African Americans in Northern California.
In truth, I've worked my entire life to try to reach this moment.
And I was a product of civil rights.
From defying odds and making history,
becoming the fourth black judge, all that is unimaginable.
I'm just here doing what I do, enjoying what I do. I look forward to the day that it's just you're just a coach.
To being change makers in their field and promoting diversity.
We don't have a voice in the market, and so this is our voice, our platform.
African American leaders inspiring future generations with their own stories.
It really doesn't get better than that.
I think it's community building is our main message.
I'm fully aware that there's a lot of little girls that do look up to me.
In a KCRA 3 Project Community Special celebrating Black History Month.
Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Golston Dart.
And I'm Brandy Cummings. Tonight we are celebrating Black history and the accomplishments of trailblazing leaders across Northern California.
Yeah, the 2024 theme for Black History Month is African Americans and the Arts. It highlights the influence African Americans have had in the fields of visual and performing arts, literature, fashion, film, and music. And right now, the Crocker Art Museum is highlighting Black artists in America. This is some of the artwork from the exhibit that will be on display until May.
Across Northern California, there are living legends making an impact, from sports to courtrooms to college campuses.
And for 2 decades, one radio station has served as the voice of the Black community. KDEE was created by the California Black Chamber of Commerce, and as KCRA 3's Michelle Bandor shows us, it's uniting the community with not only music but important conversation.
I'm your host, Miss Wanda, in the studio all the way live with you. Let me just share with you this little story here.
There's a message behind the mic at KDEE 97.5 FM on her Saturday morning show, Full Circle.
We are talking all things money. It's
Miss Wanda is talking finances, family, and physical and emotional health.
My show in particular is a talk show for Black women.
She invites experts into the studio every week.
We don't have a voice in the market. And so this is our voice, our platform.
The California Black Chamber of Commerce launched 97.5 in 2004 as a community-driven, commercial-free radio station. With no commercials, it raises money and accepts donations through its foundation.
We need parity. We need conversations that commercial radio stations won't have, because they don't have to, they don't need to, they don't want to.
Programming includes serious talk about mental health, homelessness, reparations, police relationships, youth violence, and listeners get some lighter subjects too.
This is Super Bowl weekend.
Yeah.
And okay, so who you got?
Don't forget the music, old school R&B, hip hop, and jazz. When the radio station first launched, it was on a higher frequency, out of reach for most of its target audience. So when it moved down the dial to 97.5, it's now heard in the heart of Sacramento.
It gave us a broader reach. It really spoke to more of the city.
Reaching the community to both entertain and empower.
97.5 KDEE, Sacramento's #1 community radio station. You're tuned in to It's Never Too Late.
In Sacramento.
And we'll be right back.
Michelle Bandor, KCRA 3 News.
The Roseville Fire Chief is making it his mission to increase diversity industry-wide. Chief Rick Bartee tells us it hasn't always been an easy path, but his job now allows him to help around the world.
These are just from all over the country.
He's the Roseville Fire Chief, but Rick Bartee is often far away from Northern California.
These are pictures of us in boats floating past houses.
The Gulf Coast after Hurricane Katrina, New York after 9/11, and most recently Lahaina, where he led a team of 500 after Hawaii's deadly wildfires.
Being a firefighter, those opportunities are there to be able to be nationally known and nationally recognized, or just have national spotlights that you can be involved in for incidents as a firefighter.
Bartee is on the federal response team for urban search and rescue, in both roles dedicated to helping others.
Well, I knew I was going to be a public servant. I knew that I was either going to be a police officer or a firefighter or go in the military.
Barty spent much of his career as a firefighter in Arizona.
I went through all the ranks in Phoenix.
The climb wasn't easy. Throughout his career, he's faced racism, discrimination, and toxic behavior.
Got on the captain's list to be promoted there in Phoenix. And I actually had a senior captain, well-respected captain, come up to me once and says, "You know why you're so high on the list, don't you?" And I said, "Well, because I scored well and I worked very hard to get here." He goes, tapped me on my hand because of this.
Some memories from his first fire station in the 80s still haunt him.
To have a person who would walk in the room and toss bananas on you and say, "I'm sure you eat those, don't you?"
Barty retired after more than 30 years in Phoenix, a department with 1,500 firefighters.
The ladder won't go up? Just the area. So it's no longer. That's good to know.
He then moved to Roseville to become the first African-American fire chief. His focus now, helping other recruits climb their own career ladder and increasing diversity industry-wide.
I've had times where I've had minorities tell us, "I'm not going to get a 4-year degree just to be a firefighter." Not realizing that the job pays well as it does, an opportunity for you to give back, opportunity for promotion. And then while you're being a firefighter, if you want to become a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever later, they're going to pay for your education. They're going to assist you to get where you got to get to.
Chief Barty is looking forward to a second retirement and spending more time with his family. Over the years, he and his wife have opened their home to dozens of foster children. He has 3 adopted children and 3 biological children.
And the city of Lathrop has named its new police chief. Stephen Seeley was promoted and becomes the city's first African-American chief. He had been serving as interim chief since September. Seeley says, quote, "This role is much more than a position to me. It is a commitment to the safety and well-being of our community." Well, coming up, breaking barriers in the court system, the impact that Judge Gary Ransom had during his tenure on the bench.
Plus, stingers up. We sit down with Sacramento State alum and president Dr. J. Luke Wood, the changes he's making on the campus.
Breaking barriers in the court system. That's the legacy of retired Sacramento County Superior Court Judge Gary E. Ransom.
He defied the odds as one of only a few black judges in the county.
2018 Legal Fusion, Judge Gary Ransom. I was the 4th black judge in this county.
His impact speaks for itself.
I sat in 25 different courtrooms, from San Diego all the way to Oregon.
Retired Sacramento County Superior Court Judge Gary E. Ransom, a graduate of McGeorge School of Law and the first African-American assistant public defender in the Sacramento Public Defender's Office.
We're all in the same shape. We're all trying to be criminal defense lawyers, trying to represent our clients as best we could. And we were all had that same mind thought.
Longtime Sacramento criminal defense attorney Linda Parisi worked with Ransom as a public defender.
He was very committed to his clients. He knew the law. He was also very good at figuring out what would be most persuasive for his clients.
And in later years, stood before him in court.
It's a very serious place. And what I thought was really important about the way Judge Ransom conducted his courtroom is he tried to make it as personal as possible.
A personal touch during proceedings and nuggets of wisdom handed out in court. Judge Ransom still remembers a conversation with a woman he sentenced years ago.
"I got a great job right now. Every day I was in prison, I thought about what you said and encouraging me, and it happened. And I want to thank you."
Growing up in the segregated Northeast, his path was something no one expected.
I heard it 1,000 times. You ain't never going to be anything. You grew up in here, in the ghetto. That's it. This is as far as you go. There was not one person, including me, not one person would have seen me graduating from college, going to the Air Force, being an officer, flying in B-52s, going to law school.
Defying the odds and spreading encouragement along the way.
It's important that our nation goes forward where people know you got a chance. That's the thing that distinguishes the United States from a lot of other countries. You got a chance. You just got to try hard. And I tell them, you have a duty. Once you succeed, pass this on to somebody else.
Judge Ransom was also one of the founding members of the Sacramento chapter of Sigma Pi Phi. That's a fraternity for African American professionals.
And Judge Ransom was initially appointed to the Sacramento Municipal Court by former Governor Jerry Brown back in 1981. He was appointed to the Superior Court by Governor George Deukmejian. Ransom retired from the bench in 2002.
From student to president, Sacramento State alum Dr. J. Luke Wood is back and running the campus.
I'm coming back to the campus that I graduated from, coming to an environment that I love, and working with faculty and staff, many who are part of my journey. It really doesn't get better than that.
Talk about your full circle here. The obstacles he overcame to beat the odds and forge change on campus. I want to welcome you back to our Project Community Special celebrating Black history. Sacramento's state motto is redefine the possible. And a great example of this phrase is their current president, Dr. J. Luke Wood.
So Wood is the university's 9th president and the 2nd African American to serve in the position. I sat down with him to talk about his journey that led him back to his alma mater. A pianist, an amateur boxer.
Stingers up. Hey, Sac State's #1.
Now the youngest president of all four-year institutions across the country. It's only been 6 months.
In truth, I've worked my entire life to try to reach this moment.
But at Sacramento State, Dr. J. Luke Wood's impact is undeniable.
We're doing things here that we've never done before.
He just announced the nation's first Black Honors College, a brand new program for combat sports athletes, and a new center for students who were incarcerated.
I'm coming back to the campus that I graduated from, coming to an environment that I love, and working with faculty and staff, many who are part of my journey. It really doesn't get better than that.
Dr. Wood knows the importance of education.
Born while my mother was in prison, twin brother. We immediately became wards of the court and then were placed into foster care.
Starting in kindergarten, racism was rampant.
It was a regular occurrence for me to be called a racial epithet. Other children would say, like, hey, you're not allowed to come to my home. I've asked my parents, right? And it was usually because of my race.
By 5th grade, both Wood and his brother were being singled out.
I was suspended 42 times by the same teacher. And it was for the most minor things and oftentimes for things that we didn't even do.
But he says one middle school teacher changed his life.
He saw that I liked to write. He saw that I was actually very talented academically, and he invested his time in me. It taught me a lot about what I bring to an educational environment as a president. You have to have educators who believe that students can do it, who believe that they're worthwhile, who are down to earth and willing to have conversations with them, and have a shared vested interest in their success.
Now he's creating that same environment at Sac State.
I didn't have the easiest experience here. And so wanting to come back to Sacramento State was part of wanting to fix the problems that I saw when I was a student here.
Promoting inclusion, acceptance, and real resources to help all students succeed.
We're the one and only public university in the state capital of the 5th largest economy in the world. And it's time that we act like it.
Well, from college down to elementary, many schools in Northern California are acknowledging Black History Month with special celebrations. Students at Mira Loma High School hosted its 2nd annual Black Renaissance Day Festival. It features informational booths, musical performances. They have live skits and traditional African dance performances. The school's student union and its staff advisors pulled this event together.
For a long time, students would learn about Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass and Martin Luther King, and that was pretty much the totality of what was taught. They had no idea about the inventors. They had no idea about the scientists and the doctors and the mathematicians and the philosophers. And so it's important for us to teach them the full range.
Being able to reach other people on stuff, on matters that I find near and dear, I feel like it's a good thing.
2 middle school groups and Black student union groups from each of the district's 9 high schools took part.
She shoots, she scores, and now she coaches. Stockton Kings head coach Lindsey Harding is making history.
I don't take it lightly. I'm fully aware that there's a lot of little girls that do look up to me.
Her journey from player to coach and the legacy that she's creating.
Well, breaking barriers on the court, Stockton Kings head coach Lindsey Harding is the first ever black female head coach in the NBA's G League.
And now, because of her leadership, the team is a top contender in the Western Conference. She's the face of the franchise. Lindsey Harding has been a slam dunk as the first ever black female head coach in the NBA G League.
I just want to do my best and be able to sleep well at night, and if I do that, then I'm happy.
Her love of sports started early.
I wanted to run track in the Olympics. That was my thing. Gymnastics was probably my first love. I did soccer, I did volleyball, and then started with basketball. My first year playing basketball in junior high was the first year the Houston Comets in the WNBA kind of started. So watching those women was very inspiring for me, and I made a goal right then and there. I wanted to play in the WNBA.
After playing at Duke, Harding was the #1 overall pick in the 2007 WNBA draft.
And I played about 10 years in the WNBA and got a chance to play in the Olympics with the Belarus national team, worked with them, and had a great, pretty long career.
Harding never imagined her next shot at staying in the game would be on the sidelines.
Wanted to do more front office and started to coach, and here I am, and I love it.
She was a scout and a player development coach for the 76ers, then an assistant coach for the Sacramento Kings before her barrier-breaking promotion in Stockton.
And I don't take it lightly. I'm fully aware that there's a lot of little girls that do look up to me.
Harding's credibility goes beyond her lengthy basketball resume.
Majority of this league, as well as in the NBA, are African American men. They are like my brother or my cousins. There's a level and understanding of upbringing, of background, of culture. There's ways that I can connect with them due to my similar experiences.
Harding's style, with a focus on team ball, is paying off. The team ranks #2 in the Western Conference.
I just want to enjoy every minute, the wins, not enjoying the losses, but like sitting in it because this is going to go quick. Look at the backspin. You want it backspin.
Not that she needs my 2 cents, but I think another mark of a great coach, showing this journalist who's never stepped foot on a professional court how to land a basket in just a few seconds.
Now reach up. There you go. That was good. There you go. There you go. See, look.
So if you want to see Lindsey Harding coach in person, check out the Stockton Kings at the Adventist Health Arena.
She shoots, she scores. I love that. Yeah. Well, Sacramento native Dusty Baker made history in Major League Baseball by becoming the first black person to win a World Series as a player and a manager, but he says his life's work is still far from over. We had a chance to catch up with the now retired 74-year-old before he was about to speak to a group of students and faculty at the McGeorge School of Law in Sacramento. Early on in his baseball career, Baker says Hank Aaron took care of him and taught him a lot about navigating through life as a black man in America.
I was only 18, 19 years old, but it gave me a real feeling of being a young, black man in America. It helped me later on in my life when I experienced some inequalities, but I realized that this was the way of the world.
Baker says that he remains hopeful that America will continue to make progress with civil rights.
Well, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
And we love having you and hope you enjoyed our show. We'll have much more of this online if you want to catch it.